Trust is something everyone wants. Most of us are not getting it right. You think that being nice, always saying yes, playing it safe will earn someone's trust. Think again. The truth is that building trust is messy, uncomfortable. Sometimes it's about saying no more than yes. Today, I'm going to show you the opposite of what you thought you knew about trust. Here are ways to build real trust, the kind that lasts. And yes, some of them might make you rethink your entire approach to relationships. Ready to get uncomfortable? Let's dive in. Say no when you mean it. Let's start with something controversial. Saying no is one of the best ways to build trust. If you always say yes, you're hurting yourself. I know this sounds strange. We're taught that saying yes to everything makes you likable and trustworthy. Here's the truth: people don't trust people who always say yes. They trust those who know their boundaries and stand by them. Saying no when you mean it is honest. It shows you respect your own time and energy. People will respect you more when you always say yes. People stop believing you. They start wondering. Do they actually want to do it? Are they just saying it because they feel they have to? That doubt can destroy trust. I used to always say yes to everything. Every favor. Every invitation. Every little request. I thought it would make people like me more. And it did. A while. But this person wants to do this. They want to seem like they do. That doubt is the fastest way to destroy trust. I used to say yes to everything, every favor. Every invitation. Every little request. I thought it would make people like me more. And it did. A while. But soon enough, people started expecting me to always say yes. They didn't value my time because I didn't value my time. The moment I started setting boundaries and saying no when I needed to, that's when the real trust came in. People knew they could count on me for honesty. Not just empty agreements. Trust isn't about making others happy 24/7. It's about being real, when you can say no confidently and with respect. People know you mean it when you say yes. That's where the trust starts to deepen. The truth is, no isn't a rejection. It's an act of respect for yourself and for others. That it shows that you're not willing to compromise your integrity just to be liked, and in a world where everyone's bending over backwards to please. That level of honesty is rare. Saying no when you need to is how you build a foundation of real trust. Learn to say no to the good so you can say yes to the best. Stop trying to please everyone. Now, let's talk about a sensitive topic: people pleasing. Here's the thing: everyone tells you to be nice, agreeable, do what others want to build trust. Well, here's the truth: people pleasing destroys trust. That I know it sounds harsh. If you're always trying to please everyone, you're not really building trust. You can't make everyone happy all the time. You'll become invisible. Here's why: people pleasers are unpredictable. They'll say whatever you want to hear. Do whatever you ask. Never rock the boat. Deep down, no one truly trusts someone who won't stand up for themselves. If you're too scared to say no or disagree, how can anyone trust that you'll be honest when it really matters? I used to be a people pleaser. I thought that if I made everyone happy, they'd like me more and trust me more. Guess what happened? I ended up exhausted, frustrated, surrounded by people who didn't respect me. I was the yes man to everyone's whims. No one ever really came to me for the real stuff because deep down they knew I wasn't being honest with them or myself. It was only when I started saying what I actually felt and stopped trying to be Mr. Nice Guy that people started to trust me. Point 7. That people began to truly trust me. Look. Being a people pleaser is like being a buffet. Sure. Everyone's going to sample a little bit of you. No one's going to take you seriously. You're just a never-ending line of dishes to try out. Let's be honest. Who trusts a buffet? They trust the chef that sticks to their recipe. Owns their flavor. Serves it with confidence. Don't be the buffet. Be the chef. Here's the reality. People respect those who respect themselves. If you're always putting other people's needs before your own, eventually you'll lose yourself. If you're not being true to yourself, how can anyone trust who you really are? Trust comes from authenticity. Not from being a yes person. When you stop pleasing others, you start showing others who you really are. That's when trust can grow. You can't please everyone. If you try, you'll lose yourself in the process. Be honest about your intentions. Here's a controversial suggestion. Be brutally honest about what you want from people. Society loves to sugarcoat this, telling us that subtlety and hidden agendas are just part of human interaction, but guess what? The second people sense that your intentions aren't clear, they stop trusting you. That's right. Keeping people started expecting me to always say yes. They didn't value my time because I didn't value my own. The moment I started setting boundaries and saying no when I needed to, that's when the real trust came in. People knew they could count on me to be honest. Not just make empty promises. Trust isn't about making others happy 24/7. It's not about being smart or strategic. It's just plain shady. When you're upfront about what you want, whether it's in a friendship, a business deal, even a relationship, people may not always like it. They will respect it and trust it. Trust is built on respect. Let's get real. No one trusts a person who operates from the shadows. There was a time when I wanted to work with a business partner. Instead of telling him that I wanted to work with him to meet more people, I didn't say anything. I was too afraid of sounding selfish. And you know what happened? He sensed it. My unclear intentions made him question my motives. We never really got along. Later on, I learned that if I had been honest and said, "Hey, this will be good for both of us," we would have built that trust immediately. People appreciate honesty. Transparency. Here's the thing. Most of us are out here playing chess when life is just a game of checkers. We overcomplicate things, hiding behind strategies, thinking it makes us look clever. Honestly, being clear about what you want is like moving that checker straight to the other side. No sneaky moves. No complex game plan. Just honesty. Yeah. Sometimes that honesty makes people uncomfortable. You know what makes them even more uncomfortable? Feeling like you're being manipulated. Trust is rooted in clarity. People have to guess what you want. They'll automatically start doubting you. Being clear creates openness. Openness builds trust. It's that simple. When you're direct and honest about your intentions, even if it's not what the other person wants to hear, you create an environment where trust can thrive. Think about it. How often do you trust someone when you're not sure what they're really after? Exactly. Honesty is more than just not lying. It's telling the truth about your intentions, your desires, your boundaries. Okay. Let's talk about why perfect people are unlikable. We're always told to be perfect and to show our best selves at all times. Here's the truth, being perfect is boring. It's fake. It's suspicious. Deep down, people don't trust someone who seems flawless because they know that perfection doesn't exist. Think about it. When was the last time you truly connected with someone who had everything together? Probably never. People trust you when they see your scars and your slipped UPS and your real, unpolished self. Being real makes you relatable. Being perfect makes you distant. If you want to build trust, forget the Instagram filters and polished speeches. Show the messy human side. I remember trying to impress a client by pretending I had everything under control. I thought that if I showed any cracks in my armor, they'd lose faith in me. The more I tried to be perfect, the more distant I became. The turning point came when I finally admitted, hey, I don't know everything. I might make mistakes. Our relationship changed. They respected me more because I was being honest about my limits. Trust doesn't come from pretending you're perfect, it comes from being human. Let's be real for a second. Being perfect is exhausting. Who wants to walk around like a robot that's always smiling? Always right. Always put together. That's a fool. Nobody signed up for the job of time. And guess what? It's not fooling anyone. Perfection isn't just overrated, it's unbelievable. People trust the person who's willing to admit, yeah, I've screwed up. I'll probably screw up again. But I'm here. I'm doing my best. It's like ordering the burger in the ad looks too perfect. When it arrives, it's disappointing. People expect perfection. You look too good to be true. They're just waiting for you to mess up. Don't be a fake burger, be a delicious, messy real one that people love. Masks don't build trust. People trust those who are honest with them. When you show people your flaws, your real emotions, your true self, that's when trust takes root. Think about it. When someone confides in you about their struggles, doesn't that make you feel closer to them? It's the same for you. When you're real, people can connect with you. They feel safe knowing you're not pretending to be something you're not. Perfection might impress people for a moment. Being real earns their trust for a lifetime. People will trust your imperfections more than they ever will your perfection. Don't make promises you can't keep. Here's another fact: making promises you can't keep destroys trust. We live in a world where people make promises they can't keep to keep others happy. Whether at work, in relationships, with friends. Here's the controversial part: nobody trusts someone who makes promises they can't keep. Why? Because deep down, we all know they can't deliver. It's like writing a check you can't cash. If you make promises you can't keep, it's game over for trust. I learned this the hard way. I promised more than I could deliver on a project at work. I said I could meet an unrealistic deadline. I was excited to be seen as a hero. When the deadline came and I couldn't meet it, everything fell apart. The client was angry. My boss wasn't impressed. I realized that if I had just been honest about what I could deliver from the start, things would have gone a lot smoother. Instead of trying to look good, I should have focused on being real. Let's be honest, overpromising is like that friend who's always telling you something. You don't believe them. They'll be there at 7 p.m. They'll arrive at 8:30 with only half of what was promised. Baked excuse. How much trust do you really have in that friend? Exactly. When you overpromise, it's like saying, trust me, I'm going to disappoint you later. It's like promising to bake a cake for a party, showing up with a box of stale cookies. Nobody's impressed. You've just you've disappointed your friend. If you can't deliver on your promises, why make them? People respect those who don't promise much but deliver more. If you say you can do something, do it. If you can't, don't promise it. Trust isn't built on empty promises. On grand promises. It's built on reliability. The moment you start overpromising, you're setting yourself up to fail. People pick up on that fast. Trust grows when people know they can count on your word. Not just your ambition. Being realistic doesn't make you less capable, it makes you more trustworthy. Saying, "I'll do my best. I might need more time," might sound less impressive. It builds a foundation of trust that no grand promise can replace. That it's better to say, "I don't know," or "I'm not sure," than to promise what you can't deliver. Trust comes from reliability, not empty words. Being reliable is more important than being available. Brace yourself for a controversial truth. Being constantly available doesn't make you reliable. It makes you disposable. I said it. There's this idea that if you're always there when people call, always jumping at every request, they'll trust you more. The reality is that when you're available 24/7, people don't trust you more. Point 7. People start taking you for granted. Being reliable doesn't mean you're at everyone's beck and call. It means when you commit to something, you actually follow through. That's worth more than just being available. I learned this lesson the hard way. For a long time, I was that guy who would drop everything to help someone out. I thought, if I'm always there, people will count on me. Trust comes from reliability, not empty words. 6. I'm right. Wrong. People started thinking I had no limits and treated me like a backup plan. One day, a friend asked for help moving. I said I couldn't because I had another commitment. Their reaction? They were surprised. From that moment on, they respected me more because they realized that when I did show up, I was fully committed. Reliability isn't about being available 24/7. Trust comes from reliability, not empty words. It's about being someone people can count on when it matters. Look, being available all the time is like being the Wi-Fi in a coffee shop. Sure, everyone's going to connect to you. They're not going to appreciate it when you're always there. What you want to be is like a high-speed, rock-solid connection. When people need you for something important, they know they can rely on you. No one remembers the Wi-Fi. Trustworthy. Saying, "I'll do my best. I might need more time," might sound less impressive. It builds a foundation of trust that no grand promise can replace. It's better to say, "I'm not sure," than to promise what you can't deliver. Trust comes from reliability, not empty words. 5. That's always on. People remember the one that's reliable when they need it most. So stop being the background connection in everyone's lives and start being the service they trust when it counts. Trust isn't about how often you show up. It's about how well you deliver when you do. You don't need to be available for every little thing to be trusted. In fact, the more you say yes to everyone's demands, the more you dilute your value. People will respect you for being reliable. Someone who honors commitments. People will trust someone who is always there, who also makes a difference. It's better to do a little bit of what you say you'll do than a lot of what you don't. Being reliable means people know that when you say you'll do something, you'll do it. You're not just another person they can call on at the last minute. Set boundaries. Respect your own time. People will trust you more if you do this. Being available doesn't build trust. Being reliable does. Be the person who shows up when it matters, not the one who's always on call. Listen. Don't just hear. All right. Let's get real. Most people don't actually listen. They just wait for their turn to talk. This is one of the biggest reasons trust breaks down in relationships, whether personal or professional. Listening is so much more than just hearing sounds coming out of someone's mouth. It's about being present. Understanding. Really absorbing what the other person is saying. Yeah. That sounds basic. Most of us suck at it. We nod. Say, uh-huh. We're already thinking about what we're going to say next. That's not listening, it's performing. Listening is important. Here's the controversial part. If you don't listen to people, they will never trust you. They can sense it when you only hear what someone says without truly engaging. You might be fooling yourself into thinking you're being a good listener. Trust me. People pick up on it. They know when you're just waiting to talk. That kills trust faster than anything. To be that guy. The guy who thought he was a great listener. Just because I stayed quiet. While someone else was talking. Then one day. A friend opened up to me about a serious issue. I realized halfway through. That I wasn't actually absorbing anything she said. I was too busy thinking about my brilliant advice I was going to give her. You know what happened? She stopped confiding in me. Why? She didn't feel heard. After that, I learned that listening is an active process. Not just a passive one. You have to be fully present and engaged. Let me tell you. Listening isn't just sitting there and saying, yeah. I hear you. No. That's not it. Listening is like being a detective. Your job is to figure out what the other person really means. Not just the words they're saying. It's about asking the right follow-up questions that you've got to be fully present and engaged. Let me tell you. Listening isn't just sitting there and saying, yeah. I hear you. No. That's not it. Listening is like being a detective. Your job is to figure out what the other person really means. Not just the words they're saying. It's about asking the right follow-up questions and maybe even noticing the things they're not saying. Trust me. When you start actually listening, people will be like, wow. I didn't know anyone cared that much. That's how you build trust. It's like going to a restaurant and having the waiter rush through your order because he's not actually paying attention. How much do you trust that your food is going to come out right? Exactly. When someone takes the time to get your order exactly the way you want, suddenly you trust them to deliver. It's the same with conversations. Listening is one of the most powerful ways to show someone they matter. It's the foundation of trust because it communicates that their words have value and that you care about them as a person. When someone takes the time to get your order exactly the way you want, suddenly you trust them to deliver. The same is true for conversations. Listening is one of the most powerful ways to show someone they matter. It's the foundation of trust because it communicates that their words have value and that you care about them as a person. When people feel heard, they feel seen. When they feel seen, they trust you. Simple as that. The art of listening isn't just about picking up on every word. It's about understanding the emotions behind those words. When someone feels that level of engagement, they know you're trustworthy because if you can listen to them when they're just talking, they'll trust you to listen when the stakes are higher. Are you a good listener? Being a good listener means more than just hearing what someone is saying. It means understanding what they're not saying. Feeling what they're not expressing. Responding in a way that makes them feel truly heard. 8. Share your insecurities. Okay. Here's where things get controversial. Sharing your insecurities actually makes people trust you more. Society teaches us that we should always present ourselves as strong, confident. We all have insecurities. It's important to be honest with ourselves. Those who act like they don't are often the ones who are most insecure. People don't trust perfection, they trust vulnerability. When you share your insecurities, you're not just exposing a weakness, you're showing authenticity. That's what builds trust. The biggest lie we've been sold is that showing vulnerability makes us look weak. Well, guess what? Pretending you have it all figured out makes you look fake. Nobody trusts fake people. When you open up about your struggles, people see the real you. That breaks down barriers. It's like saying, "Hey, I'm human. Just like you." That's where real connections and trust begin. I used to think that if I shared my insecurities, people would see me as less capable or weaker. So, I kept everything bottled up. One day, I told a close friend something I'd been dealing with for years. I felt like I wasn't good enough for certain opportunities. Surprisingly, they didn't judge me. They shared their own struggles. It was a powerful moment. From that point on, our relationship changed. We had a deeper level of trust because we both showed our vulnerabilities. It taught me that when you stop being careful, you invite trust. Let's be real, nobody has their life together 100% of the time. So why are we all out here pretending like we're the second coming of some superhero who never has a bad day? I mean, come on. Sharing your insecurities is like saying, "Hey, I'm not a perfect Instagram filter, I'm a real human being." That's way more relatable. The truth is that everyone's got their own insecurities. When you share yours, it's like a breath of fresh air. People stop seeing you as someone they can't reach. Start seeing you as someone they can trust and relate to. It's like when you're at a party. Everyone's dressed up fancy. Then one person walks in, wearing a cozy hoodie. Suddenly you feel more at ease. That person, they're the one who ends up making friends. They feel comfortable being themselves. That's how sharing your insecurities works. It's your emotional hoodie. You can't build trust by showing strength. You build trust by showing your humanity. When you share your insecurities, you're saying, "I trust you enough to show you the parts of me that aren't perfect." And in return, people feel more comfortable being vulnerable with you. It's a cycle of mutual trust. By opening up about what it makes you feel insecure, you're letting go of your walls and inviting people to see the real you, the authentic you. That's the foundation of strong relationships, both personal and professional. Insecurities are often seen as something to be hidden. They're actually a bridge to deeper trust. It takes courage to share them. When you do, you create space for others to be real with you. That's where true connection happens. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the doorway to trust. When you share your insecurities, you show people the real you. And that's who they'll trust. 9. Show up in crisis. Here's the harsh reality: trust isn't built when things are easy. It's built in the storm. When life is going great, everyone can show up with a smile. When crisis hits, that's when you find out who's really in your corner. If you want to build trust, you have to be there for people when they really need you. Not just when it's convenient for you. Here's the surprising thing: most people won't be there. They'll offer thoughts and prayers. Maybe send you a quick text. When it comes to being present for you in hard times, they're not there. If you want people to trust you, you have to be the one who is there for them. You have to be there for people when they need you. Most people won't be there for you. They'll send their thoughts and prayers. Maybe a quick text. When it comes to being there for you in a tough moment, they're nowhere to be found. If you want people to trust you, you have to be the one who shows up. I'll share something personal with you. A while back, a close friend of mine went through a really tough time. They lost their job. Were dealing with family issues. So on. Most people offered support from a distance. Saying things like, "I'm here if you need me." But never actually doing anything. I decided to drive to their place one night. Unannounced. With takeout, and I just sat with them. That I didn't say anything. I didn't make any promises. I was just there. You know what happened? They later told me that that moment made our friendship stronger. It wasn't the good times or the fun hangouts. It was when I showed up in their tough time. That's when they knew they could trust me. It made our bond stronger than anything else. Let's be saying, "I'm here for you," is easy. Showing up is hard. Imagine your house is on fire. All your friends are texting you, thinking of you while you're fighting the flames on your own. Yeah. Not helpful. Showing up in a crisis means getting in the trenches. Not just. It's about being there for someone when they need you most. It's not enough to say, "I'm here for you," when someone is going through a hard time. You have to be there for them. Imagine your house is on fire. All your friends are texting you, thinking of you while you're fighting the flames on your own. That's not helpful. When someone is in a crisis, you have to be there with them. Not just watching from the sidelines. It's like being in a group project where everyone says they're going to contribute. Somehow you're the only one staying up all night to get it done. The people who show up when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient are the ones you'll trust. They'll trust you if you do the same. A crisis is the ultimate test of trust. Trust and reliability. Trust is earned in the moments when it's hardest to give. Showing up in someone's crisis is more than just being there. It's about offering emotional support and being willing to face the messy, painful parts of life alongside them. When people are at their lowest, they don't need someone who's there just because they have to be. They need someone who is there because they genuinely care. It's like being in a group project where everyone says they're going to contribute. You're the only one working late into the night to get it done. You'll trust the people who show up when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. They'll trust you if you do the same. Crisis is the ultimate test of someone who's genuinely invested in helping you through. That's how trust is built, by being there when it's hardest. Not just when it's easy. Most people will only stick around for the good times. Trust grows in the tough moments. In the chaos. When life feels overwhelming. That's when people will remember who stood by them. That's how you make strong connections with others when you're facing challenges. If you're not there for them during hard times, they won't trust you when things are easier. Trust isn't built when things are always good, it's forged when things are difficult. If you're there for someone when they need you most, they'll remember it. Today, we talked about some important things, things that might be controversial. Also things that are honest. That hopefully will make people think. Cheering from the sidelines is like being in a group project where everyone says they're going to contribute. You're the only one staying up all night to get it done. You'll trust the people who show up when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. They'll trust you if you do the same. Crisis is the ultimate test of trust. You can't fake or force trust. It's built in the tough moments through authenticity. Vulnerability. Most importantly, showing up when it matters most. Whether it's saying no when you need to, sharing your insecurities, being there in someone's crisis. Each of these steps builds a foundation for genuine, unshakable trust. Remember, trust isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. People will trust you more for your authenticity than for any facade of perfection. So take these steps. Reflect on them. And It's like being on a group project where everyone says they'll contribute. You're the only one staying up all night to finish it. You'll trust the people who show up when it's hard or inconvenient. They'll trust you if you do the same. Trust me, pun intended, the results will speak for themselves. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more real talk like this. Hey! If you've got your own stories about how trust has been built or maybe even broken, share them in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for watching. Remember, be real. Be vulnerable. Always show up when it counts. That's how you build trust that lasts a lifetime. Catch you in the next one.